There's a place that
Yes.
I know.
Hello.
Hi.
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 What's your name?
I'm Rachel. Rachel Gold.
Rachel Gold. Okay. What's your name?
Sean
Sean.
Kaufman.
Okay. It's mine's Sean McGehee. So
Oh, that's right. We do have the same name.
we have to make sure it's not the. You know.
That we're not confusing people.
Yeah.
Hey Sean,
What's your name?
my name is Jay Ball.
J Ball. Doctor. Correct.
Dr. Jay Ball.
Hello.
Oh, we're live.
We are.
We're
We
live.
are live on the set with Mitchell Brown.
That's me.
Assistant Professor of Theater Studies.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi. What's your name?
I'm Kirsten McFarland.
Kirsten McFarland.
Department of Theater Arts, Central Washington University. At your service.
Oh, fantastic. Hi.
Hi,
So, what's your name?
I'm Kate Gregory.
Kate Gregory. Hi, Tim. What's your name?
Tim.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
I'm Rebecca Elizabeth Gerke.
For starters, what's your favorite color? And, Jay, what is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue? That's it? Just blue?
Sky blue.
Sky blue.
Red.
Red?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Like what kind of red? Like, is there a shade?
Like a
be very
deep-
specific.
A deep strawberry red.
Deep strawberry? Like,
Strawberry.
oh, strawberry red.
Strawberry.
Like a jam.
Almost
Jelly.
like a jam, but not quite.
Like a dark forest green.
Okay.
Like that cherry red almost, not where it's almost orangey because I'm really picky about oranges.
Yeah, so like blood red. Kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. Like
Jam.
what object would you say would be best describe that favorite color? Like a strawberry?
A strawberry.
Strawberry? Great. Okay. Cool.
It's
Either
orange or purple,
A
depending on what
lavender
mood you're in.
purple.
Damn. Robin's egg blue. It was a Crayola crayon color, and I've been in love with it ever since the first grade.
You were the first person I've interviewed that's just been like right on like how specific they want their color because
First grade. That crayon.
most people are like, I don't know, like fucking green. I'm like, okay, you know how many shades of green there are?
There's a lot.
So, do you know the premise of this documentary?
Yeah, you've explained it to me.
So do you know what the point of this documentary is?
Yes, it's times when people told you you couldn't do something.
Yes.
To say something that I've done in like rebellion.
So the point of this documentary is to find stories where people have told you that you cannot do something, and despite that, you did it.
Oh, I have to have accomplished it?
Or you did something despite someone telling you you couldn't.
Okay, that one's better. I can do that one.
Yeah.
Because I kind of had a lot of permissive people in my life.
My parents were very, very, like, here's the time you need to be home. Here's what you're doing when you're home. Here's what you're able to do when you're not home, when you're doing whatever you're doing. So I kind of took that and I was like, all right, well, I need to sneak out. I need to go, like, kind of, do my own thing. Me and my buddies just got our driver's license. And we're like, all right, how can we incorporate, a fun-ass time with our driver's license? And the thing that we were obsessed with at the time was fireworks.
So he walks up to me and he just says, "Hey, Sean, bet you can't light a cigarette in the campfire."
Go up to the soccer field in the highlands and just start donuts. Like, I'm on the car surfing, throwing mortars at my buddy's BMW. They're shooting bottle rockets, trying to pop me off the top of the van.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, lights. Lights on the top of the hill, and we just freeze. Freeze frame. Like fucking like a deer in headlights. And we're just like, who is that and what are they doing? And then red and blue. Red and blue, red and blue, red and blue. And instantly we're just jump off the car and we're like, we could run, but we can't leave the cars.
So I pop the cigarette in my mouth and I bend over the campfire. And right as my mouth is about to, or my cigarette is about to touch the burning log to get it going, whoosh, just flames right up into my face. Caught my eyelashes, eyebrows, facial hair, and head hair on fire.
Okay.
I take off screaming, as one does when
On fire.
Yes. Yeah. And, I managed to get my face in a kiddie pool fairly quickly. But I had weird shaped eyelashes for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a great story.
Yeah.
Long story short, the cops made us follow them down to the police station, and the drivers got arrested. But I did not. So that's why I like to tell this story, but they don't like to talk about it ever, because it's on their record.
So that was you would say that's the time where the cops told you, hey, you can't, it's not okay to let fireworks off, but you just did this. This is a very inspirational story.
I get there's a lot of... I personally feel like it was a lot to do with my parents. It was a lot to do with just, growing up, being younger,
Yeah.
When
When I came to Central, I came here to be a film major. That was my original intent. I'd always done acting and stuff in high school, and in my earlier years I did a lot of theater, but when I got into junior high I started doing film heavily.
So, being a theater major, you get told you can't do something a lot.
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that theater's a hobby, or it's something you do on the side of your actual career. Whereas, I don't know, it's the only thing that really makes me happy when I'm up on that stage and you hear the applause. It's like this feeling that you don't feel anywhere else.
Fortunately for me, I have a very supportive family, but I have 3 instances where people told me I couldn't. And the first is where in junior high, I decided I wanted to be a movie star. And I had a friend on the bus who told me I couldn't be a movie star because I would end up a waitress somewhere.
Probably looking at me, you're not aware of the fact that I'm blind in one eye.
No, you've said that in class a few times, and I never actually took you seriously.
Yeah, I know. It's because there's no outward clue.
Yeah.
Because it's my left eye, and there's nothing. It's a healthy eye. There's no reason why it tracks. It moves. There's absolutely no outward sign that I can't see.
When I got to high school, I just kept doing it, and we had a huge film department at Fife High School, and it really made me just have a huge passion for the art. And so when I came to Central, that was my ultimate goal. I'm going to do this. I'm going to become a filmmaker. I want to make movies.
I got back into it in high school and started getting some really good parts, so I started thinking maybe this is something that I'd like to do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going to do it. I am. Well, later down the road, I discovered I was more into theater, not so much film, and I really loved the idea that I could be a teacher for something I loved, and so I thought I'd be a theater teacher. And I had a friend who told me, you shouldn't do that because my mom got a theater degree and she never used it. So you probably, you can't do that. You can't squander your talents away with theater teaching.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a freshman this year. I just graduated high school.
Uh-huh.
About halfway through my senior year, the popular kids, they decided that my social life was over, everything was gonna be just done for me. Basically, they created this scandal where they told everyone that I had relations with every single one of their boyfriends, basically.
Wow.
And so after that, there was alcohol involved, there was a party, and big bad Twitter mishap where I was getting death threats and all this stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
from 7 girls in my high school. So what I did was I printed out all the evidence and I took it to the discipline officer at our school, pretty much the vice president, principal, vice principal.
Vice president of high school?
I took it to the vice president. Yeah.
Being sighted in one eye means that my depth perception isn't very good, and that I've got a huge blind spot, and it's not a serious disability, but nevertheless, particularly growing up, there were things that I wanted to do that made this more difficult for me to do.
So you had this your whole life?
Yeah, so in the late 1960s into the early 1970s, there was a pharmaceutical company that marketed a diet pill for pregnant women. The notion that just because you're pregnant doesn't mean that you have to stop being sexy or something like this. However, most of the women who took these pills only took them because their doctors prescribed them to them, and not because they were trying to be sexy and pregnant, which is what happened to my mother. She was prescribed them by her doctor, said it was a health measure, and a third of the children born to the women who took these pills were blind in either one eye or both eyes. And so I feel very lucky to have been blind only in one. But for a long time growing up, my father, who was a jock, I come from a long line of some even famous Arkansas athletes, didn't understand why I wasn't more athletic, better coordinated. In fact, one of an early memory that I have of my father is we're in the backyard and he's throwing a football to me. He's actually probably better to say he's throwing a football at me.
At you.
And again, I can't catch it. It's hitting me in the face. I'm crying, and my father just gets more and more angry.
Naturally, I submitted an application to join the film department. Here at Central we have several film majors. I don't know all of them, but yeah, so I submitted to be in the production for film and video studies major. And they denied me because I didn't get a B average in the 2 intro classes. And I was like, okay.
I started second guessing it, and I talked to some of my family, and one that really stood out was my uncle. He's the type of person who doesn't support it at all.
Basically what happened was like death threats, really bad. Like, Rachel Gold must die, like expletive, like let's kill her, stuff like that.
Well, I'm assuming you did sleep with all of these men.
No, actually, I didn't sleep with any of them. Funny story, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, just spent 2 years here making my own films.
The lie originated at a party where almost every member of every sports team was there.
Made a whole TV show managed a television station.
He doesn't think of theater as something you can make money off of. He says that you'll never make any money that way.
Won several awards and film festivals with here at the university. I have hours of previous content.
I took all this evidence to him and I was like, hey, do something about this.
And the only thing you really care about is to get into the program is if you can accomplish these 2 menial classes.
It's awful.
Yeah.
People kill themselves because of this stuff. Like,
yeah.
it's time to make an example.
Yeah. Why would you deny a student entrance into your program when he obviously has a talent in doing this?
And he looked at me and he said, were you drinking?
It doesn't make any sense.
And I said, yeah. And he said, well, you're suspended.
And I don't know, that kind of just set me off, and I'm like, I want to prove him wrong.
When's the last time someone told you no?
When's the last time someone told me no?
Do you remember that?
My dad, when I wanted to go for a film and video major.
He told you couldn't?
No.
Why?
He said to go for something serious.
What's wrong with film and video major?
Not a really big, well, like, I'd want to do it, but like, he just said it wasn't something serious to do.
Yeah.
Even if I really wanted to.
I think it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're doing it, right?
I spent my whole life doing it.
I know.
And there's something about being told that you can't do something that really makes you strive to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My father was devastated. I never saw my father cry harder than we came back from the ophthalmologist and he realized, what he was putting me through. He was really remorseful.
I'll take the suspension, like, I get it, I'm not supposed to be drinking, but, like, look at this. Look at all this stuff. And, you know, word spread like wildfire, and from that point forward, it was like, you're gonna have to drop out of high school, like, it would be best for you to just disappear. Like, you should just leave, pretty much.
And so, especially the end of sophomore year, I was working really hard.
I lost it. I just made as much as I could.
And I was learning dance,
And I just pushed myself to get better and better
singing.
in the craft just to prove them wrong. Like, how dare you?
And so I just, especially after thinking about that, I've just been making so much progress since I started this BFA.
I mean, I haven't like received an apology, or no one's even talked to me about it.
I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing,
Like from the department at all.
especially with that, my uncle saying that I'll never make any money. Well,
It's like they don't even care.
I didn't aspire to be an athlete, but there was something that I always wanted to do, which was to fly. My father, has passed away, was a private pilot. I grew up around planes. And there was, I wasn't interested in the Boy Scouts, but there was a youth organization sponsored by the Air Force called the Civil Air Patrol. And the Civil Air Patrol has search planes, and they also have ground rescue teams. And I really, really wanted to be in the Civil Air Patrol, and I wanted to fly, and I wanted to do search and rescue on the ground. The problem is that you had to take a 9 exam.
Moving forward from that, I ended up being kicked out of my house halfway through my senior year, and people were just like, well, you might as well just, you know, give up, pretty much. Like, get a job. Like, you might not even graduate. My grades were pretty bad until I sort of found it within myself and my math tutor, really. I had this really great math tutor. Her name is, well, anyway, she was a really great math tutor, and, you know, really, I had like an hour set aside to tutor with her because my math grade was bringing me down. Like, that's why I wasn't going to graduate. And she would take half an hour to, like, really dedicated, like, teach me all this stuff, and the other half hour would be like, okay, here's your game plan. Like, you're going to work, you're going to do this, 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 and this, and you're going to save this money, you're going to open a new bank account. Like, you can pull through this.
The reason I do this, like the reason I'm still pursuing this career, and like honestly, like the main reason like I continue to just like live my life now is to prove them wrong. Like at the end of the day, I go to bed and I'm like, someday I'm gonna wake up and be like, yeah, you were wrong.
So I've gone to college and I've graduated, and my last semester I was almost done, and I had this education professor. I sent her an email just asking if I had a late assignment because I thought I had submitted it, and she just emailed me back saying how I was being foolish picking to do my classroom plan for theater instead of history, and how I wouldn't find a theater job, and I certainly wouldn't find one where it was in a theater setting like I had set my fake classroom in. And that was the only time where someone told me I couldn't do something that really affected me, because I've never had a teacher look down on me like that and be so unsupportive, and I cried about it.
But there's a problem not only in not just this specific situation where me and my life have, like, I was told no, that I can't do something, but like on a grand scale, like when you tell somebody that they can't do something, it's nothing but negative. You get nothing out of it. Especially for an artist.
I decided senior year that I was going to come to Central Washington University. It's the only school I picked, it's the only one I applied to. And I came here my freshman year, and it was my first time on my own, and it was, I don't know, it was kind of like big step, I guess, for me. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But it got to be a time where like I stopped going to classes because I realized I could skip them, and I got sick for a moment, which kept me out of classes for like a week, and my motivation by the end of the year just kind of went down, and ended up failing a couple classes, and financially doesn't like it when you fail some classes. So I talked to my parents, and they were, you know, mildly upset, to say the least. And basically I couldn't afford to come back.
And so, starting at the age of 13, I began cheating on my eye exams in order to participate in the Civil Air Patrol.
Oh, so did they do like the E3 thing? And...
I would go in and I would memorize the chart. It'd be a different chart every year. I memorized the chart a different way.
And so over the summer, after my freshman year, I came home to the West Side and looked for a couple jobs, something to like get my foot in the door. I eventually found a job where I was able to get full-time. And my plans shifted because I didn't know if I was going to go to school. My main plan was just to, okay, if I work for this next year, just keep working, I could be able to afford to come back to Central.
And then over the course of the next 6 years, I sort of trained myself to visually experience my environment better. I deliberately caught footballs and baseballs and threw balls, all to try to compensate for the depth perception issues, and so really I just faked my way into a position where finally I could spend time in planes and learn to fly.
I really wanted to come back to school here, and it was, to continue my goal of going into filmmaking, because it's what I really like doing. And that year was just kind of a reality slap in the face that I need to get my shit together, basically. And my parents, they were supportive through all of the decisions I kind of made, but they didn't really think that I was going to be able to come back to university. Just because, money is tight, and they can only help so much because they have 2 mortgages and money problems of their own, and but I don't know, through that year of just working, and I guess the biggest motivation for me to come back was my friends.
There's no point in trying to put someone down, because you won't get anything out of it except for your own. In that tiny moment, you're gonna have a tiny amount of power. Just be like, yes, I destroyed a dream today. So you had this math teacher just come out of the blue and save your life?
Yeah, she kind of instilled in me that you can't give up. It was, fight or flight, live or die. And I was just kind of my dreams are way too big for this. My counselor calls me into her office and she's like, hey, I've got some news for you. And I'm in tears, ready to just quit. And I'm what now? What's next, really? Mm-hmm. And she goes, you know how you took geometry so many times? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, we found an extra math credit. You're gonna graduate.
I didn't go as far as getting a pilot's license, because that would have required a more extensive eye exam, and that wouldn't have been safe. I wasn't, I wasn't going to do anything that unsafe. But to even just get in the planes and fly and have aviation experiences and fly in military tankers and to fly in just to sort of be able to have the experiences up in the sky, which became more and more important to me after my parents divorced.
From that point forward, I was I believe there's so much more for me. I don't know, I prayed, I worked really hard. Like, I worked really hard on everything I possibly could.
You know, they told me there's no way, my friends, there's absolutely no way that you can be in Civil Air Patrol. You can't do this. And, you know, I proved them wrong. I got in the planes. I cheated on the exams, but I gave 110%. I gave harder than anyone else, any of those other cadets, which is one reason why I was made Cadet of the Year in 1986.
Hell
Civil
yeah.
Air Patrol. And that's why when you asked me about my favorite color, there was no hesitation. Sky blue.
Makes sense now. Look at America. Like, how did America form? Britain telling them, no, you can't be a separate colony. You're part of us. Oh yeah? Guess what? America. Fuck your tea. That's how history's always gone now. Some group sells some other group that they can't do something, and then the other group says, yes we can, and then they either triumph or fail, and eventually have to restart from the beginning, or they succeed. But in the long run, it's like, why even have the fight?
I graduated, I got into Central, like, I'm doing everything I want to do, and I think it's really just taught me that, like, your biggest motivator is really yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, you just gotta grab life.
Yeah.
by
Everything you've got.
the- Yeah.
And don't let people tell you no.
Right?
Ah, that... No.
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 Yeah. Don't let people tell you no.
Cool. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Whew, all right.
Cool.
One down.
Woo.